What's going on, fam? It's your boy Lazy Lightsaber at it again. So today is Thursday. I woke up this morning to just a plethora of news on the web and decided to take a look and see what's going on. So this is what I saw. Straight up, a Nintendo Direct featuring Wind Waker and Twilight Princess is reportedly coming in September. So in my haste, I was like, oh my gosh, I must have missed a tweet from Nintendo. I ran over to Twitter. I looked at their page. I saw nothing. I was like, come on, man. This is BS. So now I'm thinking, okay, where did they hear this from? Because we need to know. So I went back on the website. I was like, okay, it's VGC. So it's a reputable source, I imagine, that they're quoting this from. So let's go ahead and read and just jump in to see what was discussed. It says, a Nintendo Direct featuring Wind Waker and Twilight Princess is reportedly coming in September. It's claimed the event will be a Zelda blowout and may also include a Metroid Prime remaster. So I read that first sentence and I'm already like, bro, this sounds like a pipe dream. It sounds like one of those type of things where you're going to be like, oh man, yeah, this is definitely a dream come true. We all know those don't exist. Being a Nintendo fan, you know Nintendo never gives you what you want. So it says, this is according to GamesBeat managing editor Mike Minotti and Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb, who are speaking on a podcast this week. Okay, so these two guys, I don't really know who they are, so apparently GamesBeat is some type of website for gaming. And then Jeff Grubb, I have heard that name before, and I think I even discussed his name on a previous video in regards to an announcement that he made where he said, I believe that the Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come out on a new Switch console. Like when it comes out next year, it's going to be presented with the new Switch console. So I took that with a huge grain of salt because I honestly don't believe that's happening. It doesn't mean that it's not happening, but chances are very unlikely. So it's the same guy basically saying this again. So he's like, to be clear, guys, the one thing we are very, very sure is being announced at this Direct are the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess ports for the Switch, Minotti said. And then he's like, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of Zelda stuff at this thing, Grubb said. I think this is like a Zelda blowout for Nintendo. So, I mean, you know, as soon as I hear like these little buzzwords, Zelda blowout, I mean, do these guys really know? They may know somebody there that's just feeding them this information. I don't know. But you know what? I've come to expect the minimum from Nintendo. Like, I can see them having a Direct in September because they always have a Direct in September ever since they started doing Direct, so this won't be something new. Stating that a Direct is coming in September is nothing new, so you're not giving me any secrets here, but what you are saying is that they're going to come out with 2 Zelda games. So I immediately take a sip of my coffee here, and I'm like, okay, well, let's do the math. So the last remake that was done, alright, on the Nintendo Switch from Nintendo for a Zelda game is Skyward Sword. Now, Skyward Sword came out independently, full $60 game. I'm sure now you can find it for maybe $40 on a sale or something like that, but it's a full-fledged $60 game. And it was done well. It was a good remake. I'm not going to dogpile on it. It was actually decent. I didn't have any huge issues with the game. I had problems with the controller. But that was just because it's coming from the Wii, which had the wand and the nunchucks and all that, which was hot garbage anyway. But so I can see that there was a limitation, and they worked around the controller a bit. And if you use it on a smaller console like a Switch Lite, it works even better. So they're bringing out one game, all right, and they did promise one Zelda game per year. So this would be on par with what they promised. However, they only brought out the one single game. So if there were to be a release of this sort, it would be one game. In my opinion, it would be Wind Waker or Twilight Princess. I'm leaning more towards Wind Waker because when this game came out on the GameCube back in the day, I literally did not like this game. I saw that they went from Ocarina of Time on the 64, a serious 3D Zelda, you know, to this cartoony thing. When I saw this, I was completely disappointed. I ended up getting the game, didn't play it a lot back then, but I liked it. I enjoyed it and I didn't give it a shot. I didn't give it a shot simply because of the way it looked. and I did enjoy it though. You know, you're kind of young and you just want to have the cool dark Zelda coming out of the Nintendo. You know, you don't want the cartoony kitty looking like you. It's disappointing. It's like, come on, I thought Zelda was going to be the dark, grown adult game on Nintendo, especially back then. I mean, now things have changed, and Nintendo has a lot of third-party support on the Switch, and they bring out dark games now too. But back then, it was a little bit different. So I was expecting this to be that game, and it just wasn't. So it's a game that I'm looking probably a little bit more forward to than maybe Twilight Princess. Not to say that's a bad game either. If they bring out, you know, either one or both, I'm definitely in. But just based on previous experience, I don't think both games are going to come out. I think if this is true, I'm going to go ahead and just call it right now and say it's probably not true. But if it is true, they would be bringing out one game. We would not be... There's no way both will come out at the same time. They're probably going to do this one this year and then do another one next year. So that way they can have their, you know, Zelda game per year. But next year, technically, Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out. And I say technically because it may be delayed again. Who knows? It was already pushed back once from 2022 to 2023. In fact, I rewatched that the second showing of that game, and so at the end of the trailer, it said 2022. And then later, another direct came out and he said, oh, it's been delayed to 2023. We're working hard on it, whatever. So that game could be pushed to 2024. I mean, I hate to be that guy, and I don't think that's going to happen. But if it does, this will give them space for them to bring out the second Twilight Princess out on next year, 2023, and just keep a Zelda game per year, which is what they promised with the Switch's life cycle. I think moving forward past the Switch, once something else comes out, I don't think they're going to keep that up with a Zelda game per year. They're able to do that now because they have a lot of remakes like these that they can come out with. But generally speaking, to keep this pace up with a new console where you have to come out with new Zelda games, I mean, yeah. I mean, so if none of this is true and it doesn't happen and no Zelda game comes out, are we then considering the ones that came out on the 64 virtual console for the Switch, like the expansion pass games? Are we considering that a Zelda game per year? Like, are those? So, I mean, you know, hey, it is what it is. But personally, I would, guys, take this. You know, I was super hyped when I saw this, and I wanted it to be the whole bag and just be like, yes, finally, we get everything. And a Metroid Prime remake? Like, come on, this is a pipe dream. This is too good to be true. I will be happy to be wrong on this one. I will be happy to fall on the sword on this one. But you know what? I'm not going to bend the knee. I think this is too good to be true, and I'll go ahead and wait and see. We'll see what they come up with. We'll see what they say. It's only a matter of time. Hopefully I'm wrong, guys. As always, don't forget it's your boy Lazy Lightsaber. Glad to be back. If you've been wondering where I've been, you can check out that video on my YouTube channel, which explains where I've been this whole time and why I was out for the past 2 weeks. But as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I will dive in there and, you know, answer any of your questions as I usually do. And as always, guys, may the force be with you. Peace.